Hello. So today I'm going to give a brief introduction to harmonics. I use them all the time when I'm investigating because there's always something. There's always some nugget that really ties everything together when I use harmonics. Harmonics will relate to the aspects, they'll relate to numerology, so you will tie those meanings in when you're looking at the harmonics. I just want to start with a brief how-to. I've got a page here on how to do these things. Oh, that's a little too large. Bear with me. Okay, so I think that's mostly showing. Not good. Okay, we'll just start up here. When you go to astro.com, you would, of course, already have your charts set up and in your My Astro, and then you would choose the extended chart selection, which looks like this right here, these four squares. And within the extended chart selection, you would be able to choose the chart that you want and then go to selecting your chart type. Now, it wouldn't allow me to copy the drop down, but when you click here for this drop down, you would be able to see all the way down, scan all the way down into the drop down, and under other charts, there is either the 9 harmonic charts, which are the harmonics 1 through 9, or 2 through 9, and then also below that is just simply clicking harmonics, in which you'd be able to put the harmonic that you choose into the date field here. And when you do that, that allows you any number that you might think of. I seem to recall, and I didn't try it because I really don't use that, I use the solar fire, but I seem to recall that it'll only go up to 31 for the dates. So I'm not sure in the date field if it will allow you to go beyond 31, but give it a shot. It can't hurt. And then in Solar Fire, if you're going to use Solar Fire to run a harmonic, very simply, just go to your charts. It is the first option up at the top in the far left. Click charts, and then that will drop down, and you'd be able to open this box when you click I think I missed a step. Well, be that as it may, click harmonic chart here. You can click harmonic arc transform, harmonic age, or harmonic age +1. They're pretty self-explanatory on the harmonic age and the harmonic age +1, but I do want to go into the harmonic arc transform because these things are super cool. And trying them yourself by doing the math is going to be pretty difficult, but if you're one to investigate that way, I think you really would like it. The harmonic arc transform is right here. To do that, what happens with the harmonic arc transform is you're moving between two different planets within the given chart. So here I have my youngest son, his chart here, and in choosing what to do, you would, whichever planets you wanted to choose from, but I chose Mars and Pluto just because Mars is conjunct the ascendant, and he's a very active kid. He's very much a go-getter, lots of drive, lots of energy, lots of staying power too, with that Mars being in Taurus. And so the difference between Pluto and Mars works out to a harmonic that brings them together at 0 Leo. And just to illustrate how important these can be, it just so happens that that comes to 0 Leo, which is his natal sun, as you can see here. So it's super cool in the way it will read for you important things in the chart. It'll bring things right out for you. So enough on the harmonic arc transform. It's just something I wanted to introduce. So with harmonics specifically, they're just bringing more clarity to natal aspects, things that might not stand out as well in the natal chart. When you bring them into a harmonic, things will become much clearer, like I just showed you with the arc transform. I wonder if I was clear enough on the arc transform. It is the degree difference. You are multiplying everything in the chart by the degree difference between the two items that you've chosen. So I hope that's more clear. You can do the math on that, but if you have a computer program, it's much easier. So that's what the harmonics are doing. If you choose the second harmonic, it's obviously an opposition, and that would be 180 degrees applied to everything that you have within a chart, and it will draw up a whole chart applying that multiplier to everything in the chart. And the numbers of the harmonics apply to numerology as well as the aspect being used. So obviously an opposition is about balance or lack thereof, and partnership, and reflection, and that will be shown in the chart. You'll be able to see how someone will work with that. With the chart itself, I think it's important to note the ascendant and the midheaven, those placements are crucial, but you won't see the midheaven, very rarely anyway, you won't see the midheaven showing up on the 10th house cusp. It will be floating somewhere else in the chart. It's important to look at it, but know that it's not on the 10th cusp. And also, when you are looking at your harmonic chart, you'll want to note that the houses really aren't going to have any effect for you. You're looking at aspect pattern. You're looking at chart power, the power of the chart. If it's a scattered, nothing really linked up very strongly chart, it's really not going to be a strong harmonic in that person's life or that event's future. The harmonics will show, for an example, taking the opposition again. Oppositions, if you're doing a second harmonic, will show up as a conjunction in the chart, as well as the natal conjunctions. So the conjunctions that you would see in a second harmonic chart will be oppositions in the natal as well as conjunctions. I hope that's clear. And you can take your harmonics up to as high as you want to go. For example, the 32nd harmonic, people have used that. Some of my sources have said that that would have the numerological focus of a 5 as well. So 3 + 2 = 5. So that can reach back to the 5th harmonic somehow. So moving forward on this, I think that, let's see, age harmonics are good. They can actually read a lot more color into a chart, into a progression, into a chart than a progression can at times. I've used them both alongside each other, and definitely a lot more color can be shown as to what you're going to experience. Moving forward to what I'm going to take a look at here with the 2 different harmonics I'm going to investigate. We've got the 5th harmonic and the 9th harmonic. I was going to look at the 7th, but I let that go for time and space. When you're looking at a harmonic chart in particular, you would want to note that you're going to read for that harmonic. Everything about that chart is only going to be specifically about that harmonic, about that aspect that you're investigating. It's not going to be reading, partnership in a chart that's about, uh, let's say a third harmonic. You're not going to be looking at partnership there. So the ninth harmonic, a lot of people look at that for partnership. Being ninth, it's the ending of singleness a lot of times. Numerologically, you'll see people in a 9-year, women in particular, not so much men. Women in particular get married in a 9-year just because that's the end of their singlehood, and moving forward that way. It also, well, I'm being too general and I don't want to do that. It's not fair. But moving in the fifth harmonic, I can see my children. We can see our children. A lot of people will take that to the houses. The fifth harmonic would relate to the number 5 numerologically, but would also relate to the quintile in aspect, and the biquintile. But it will also relate to the house, that your fifth house being about your children a lot of times, your creativity. The fifth harmonic will show you the joy that you find, the way that you create it, your creativity. It's very exciting when you dig in deep on yourself there. And those you love. So this right here is a way of kind of showing you how the fifth harmonic chart will come together. The natal chart is here on the left. And what I did with this chart is simply blew up specifically the quintiles in the chart so that it would be more clear to show them over here. So we see that Jupiter is quintile to Chiron and Mars, and they create their own little triangle there with Chiron and Mars being biquintile. And then we have the Sun to Saturn biquintile as well. So over here, we see that they're conjunct, Jupiter, Mars, and Chiron, all here in the 9th house. It's not that you have to read the 9th house. You barely would notice the 9th house. You would notice the aspect patterns in the chart. And you would probably, I pay attention to the fact that they're in Earth. This is a fifth harmonic Earth conjunction. So the way that I would experience joy, creativity, pleasure, it has to be something concrete and practical. I'm that girl. So Capricorn is.
I really appreciate your help, Erica. Thank you very much.
So I'm not sure if that was for me, but I think it was for somebody else. I can't see what's happening.
It's all right. I've muted that person.
Okay. Thank you. So here we go. So then we have Sun and Saturn conjunct here, and an out of sign conjunction, so we wouldn't even worry about that. That is something that I think is important, is we do allow a 16-degree orb, and that's from David Cochran. David Cochran has done some significant study on our harmonics and how we can look to those. I have links at the last page, and so everybody can look to those for more research on these, for more information. There is a lot of information out there. It's not huge, but enough to definitely get you going. So the Sun and Saturn are conjunct there, and looking to that, it just even highlights the fact that I've got this configuration here showing up over here in Capricorn. This just seems to highlight that and making it more need to express myself practically. So, and in this chart here, I would see notice the grand trine is strong, as well as the configuration here of the T-square to the moon. and off of Pluto and tying in this conjunction in the fifth harmonic here. So I guess the best way I could read that is that that moon is conjunct my natal sun, and it is very emotionally fulfilling and transforming to be able to study astrology. I'm tying this to that very strongly because this is my biggest pleasure other than my children and family. This is where I find my joy. Additionally, this is so cool, something I discovered. Let me show you this on the next slide. Right here, this is the same chart. I just pulled it over here to continue writing about it. But astrologers, I wrote down here, astrologers will want to know that per John Addy, Saturn and Uranus rule astrology, and Saturn and Uranus near 0 degrees of cardinal or mutable signs in the fifth harmonic chart often occurs in the charts of astrologers. And so I think that's one really cool little feature there. So now everybody will be running out to check their 0 cardinal, 0 mutable Uranus in the fifth harmonic. So, okay, I brought this fifth harmonic chart over to this page specifically to show how it shows my children in my chart. And we can see that by the fifth harmonic sun here is conjunct my oldest son Saturn, and the fifth harmonic Venus right here is conjunct my oldest son's sun, and my honey's moon, as a matter of fact. And then my Uranus in this chart is actually my oldest son's north node. And then the node in this chart is my middle son's Mars. And Saturn in this chart is my middle son's sun and moon conjunction. And Chiron is my youngest son's Neptune, and Uranus is my youngest son's south node. So my children are all over this chart. Interestingly, also my oldest son would show up in the fifth chart of my natal, and he does because he's a Pisces sun, and my fifth house natally is Pisces, but he has a Leo ascendant, so that also shows here in the fifth harmonic. It's a very, very clear tool to use. Enlightening, I think. When you read a harmonic on anything, you'll be able to find a lot more detail to that specific focus. I love it. So in this, just briefly, with the Sun and Saturn together, any play is highly structured. Joy is found in purpose and meaning. Learning games are huge. I love learning games, always have. And noticing the grand trine, pulling that out was big. So I obviously have a potential for turning what I love into my life's work, and I have. I've never left astrology for any appreciable amount of time. And let's move forward. So the ninth harmonic is exciting for those of us who like to investigate love and partnership, and I always do. So said to illustrate the marriage partner, the ideal partner, it shows one's capacity for joy, peace, selfless generosity, where one really gives. And you'll find too, numerologically, the 9 relates to Pisces, a kind of selfless type of giving. Humanitarian is the 9. So I think that in looking at partnership, we're thinking of, in a 9th harmonic, we want the 9th harmonic to be reflecting our partner. We see that it does, because this is our soul's highest ideal, what we look for, what we aspire to be. therefore should be shown in the ninth harmonic, and therefore we should be able to see reflected somewhat in our partner, because that's the reason for coming into partnership, is to balance across, to look in the mirror and to see the ideal of ourselves and head toward that, what we would want to grow toward. So in this chart, a strong kite formation. We have the conjunction of Mars and Saturn. We have, even though it's broad, it's still that 16 degree orb, but Mercury and Jupiter conjunct in this chart. Natally, Mercury and Jupiter are trine. Mercury is the skipped step for the nodal axis, applying to the north node as the resolution node. And then the conjunction, the huge conjunction down here, tying this together as well, Sun, Neptune, Chiron. Now, this being a ninth harmonic chart, Neptune and Chiron are in trine. They're trine to each other natally. And again, Jupiter and Mercury trine natally. Mars and Saturn, I don't remember the aspect, I'm sorry. I should have investigated that. But Stephen Scheuer is somebody I found online that I think he started a number of things. I was not able to dig deeper into how far he went on it, because on the website, there's not kind of there's no Dewey Decimal System on the website for me to go and find, no search to pull up the articles that would specifically work with the harmonic. I just found the one. It was brief, but it was very cool, and definitely bears investigation further. But he says that in a kite formation like this, like we're seeing right here, that in this instance, that this part of the kite is actually a portion of the grand sextile. In being a portion of the grand sextile, it is the Jupiter is in the place of the third point, and that's the third Jupiter phase of expression. There are 6, he was saying, because of the grand sextile and how Jupiter relates to that. Really loved what he said about that and was looking forward to investigating more, but I thought I'd tie it in here because it really does enlighten what we're looking at, with Jupiter being conjunct Mercury, being trine in the natal, and being the skipped step of the nodal axis there. Definitely finding focus on that. I've got a lot of opportunity to move forward in expressing, to share, to try to help anybody who might need, and that's something that I really love to do. And this chart here shows that. It also shows my honey. So I'll move on to where that ties in. Oops, sorry. So when we're looking at harmonics for a focus of the partnership situation and looking at your ideal partner, what you will find, I just drew up my ninth harmonic, his ninth harmonic, and then in the comparison of the two, how do we show each other? How do we mirror to each other? And so that somebody else would be able to follow this and do that on their own. Comparing the ninth harmonics should be easy on astro.com if you don't have Solar Fire. Otherwise, it's very easy on Solar Fire. I know that Cerise also does that, and beautiful combinations there on Cerise. So in combining these, looking to where things tie together, first and foremost, natally, he is a Gemini sun, and we see quite a focus on the Gemini here. the ninth harmonic chart shows the nodal axis at 2 Gemini, and that just happens to be right next to his sun and his Mercury, which are conjunct in the early, his Mercury is 0 Gemini. And then in my ninth harmonic, both of the nodes, Gemini, mine and his, right here. My natal ascendant has Neptune conjunct, and his ninth harmonic north node is conjunct Neptune. Implies an understanding right there that he should be headed towards somebody who reflects Neptune strongly. My Neptune is trine my Chiron, and I think that ties in as well that he should be headed in that direction based on what we're seeing there. And my Sun Neptune of my ninth harmonic is on his natal Saturn ascendant. So this right here is his Saturn ascendant at 25 is his ascendant, and 28 is his Saturn. So those tie in very strongly. So you're looking for the ways that they tie to each other. Right here, his descendant of his ninth harmonic, implying partnership as well. That's actually my natal Venus. And I didn't even mark it, but Jupiter here is conjunct my natal Mercury. The Mars here is my natal north node by less than 2 degrees. It's all very close. His Saturn in the ninth is my Chiron, like I was alluding to a moment ago, saying that these tie in together. So it all feeds in very closely. His north harmonic moon is my Saturn. So when you're pulling these together, you're looking for just that kind of tie-in to reflect your partner. If you're looking at a partnership with somebody, a lot of young people will, get somebody's birth information and draw up a chart and say, oh, how does he tie to me? Is this my future hubby? Things can get very romantic. You don't have to be young for that to happen. You'll want to be looking at the ninth harmonic as a real reflection of whether there's any legs to the relationship, so to speak, because they'll be there if there is. If not, it won't. And it doesn't mean it becomes a marriage, and it doesn't mean that it becomes something that lasts forever either, because we are all very much growing and learning, and we're here to do that, whether it's through positive things or not so seemingly positive things. Okay, so moving forward, almost done. This is my last slide, and then I'll open it up for questions. Many harmonics astrologers believe that the astrological aspects have much in common with sound waves. This book here is something that was huge for me. Nona Gwynn Press is our author. She is amazing. This book is full of information. The text is small, every page is jam-packed, and she teaches you tons. Some of it, is not for the beginner or the faint of heart, but there's a ton of information there, and she uses the harmonics in detail in here and shows you how to draw them up when you don't have a computer and how to work that out. But definitely we know that harmonics applies to sound waves, to music, and to our own resonance in the world. We're all energy. We're all reverberating off of each other and everything around us. And I know that it applies to every single thing in the world. Well, that's what I believe anyway. So my links, my information is here. Obviously, Johannes Kepler, very old work there. I don't know that I would ever get a copy, but I've seen some quotes online, and that's where I've learned. William Lilly, Christian Astrology, Zipporah Dobbins. I had some links here that I was reading and looking at. John Addy had many things done, was definitely a major focus in studying the harmonics. David Cochran has done some wonderful work, and that's who I quoted up here out of the free dictionary. He put this in right here. And Chris Mitchell, there was a lot at his site as well, or her, I couldn't tell. I didn't dig deeply into About Me. Donna Henson, she wrote, Why Would Anyone Want to Study Harmonics? And I can tell you I liked what she had to say. And Stephen Schroyer was very interesting with what he had on the kite pattern, and I linked him in here because his site bears more investigation. So with that, not sure how to do this, but I would like to see if anybody has questions or open it up for that.
Dawn, did you want to keep your document on the screen just in case you need it, or not?
I was thinking I would stop share, but you let me know what I should do.
Okay, you can stop share. It should be at the top of your screen there somewhere. That's it, you've done it. Good, thank you. Okay, over to you.
Does anybody have any questions? I might have gone through that kind of quickly.
Hi, Dawn. It's Wendy.
Hi.
Hi. Long time no see.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thanks. Nice to see you too. That's pretty interesting. I was really lost for a while. I was like, what is this? I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized that it just takes your chart and it tells you what the different harmonics are.
Every point in the chart will be multiplied by the harmonic that you choose.
Okay.
So,
I see.
yeah.
And what the fifth one, is that specifically to children?
Well, it's to children, but the fifth the quintile aspect is about creativity, how we create joy, share joy, offer joy, receive joy. And it does tie into the fifth house. It does tie into the number 5 numerologically, and in a lot of different ways. So I believe Addie's work was really centering on how the numerology ties in with the aspects and the harmonics.
So I just looked at mine while you were finishing. I couldn't resist. And I did look at my 9th and my 5th. So it shows me I have all this Taurus in second house. And of course, Uranus is there. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, so I've dated somebody, I'm pretty sure, with the moon in Taurus. And like, no wonder my 9th harmonic Uranus was there.
Very exciting.
This thing with the moon, Uranus and the moon. Anyway, it's like kind of silly, but
no.
Well, I mean, I didn't really give it much thought. It was just like really quick. So that's pretty cool. How long have you been doing this?
Harmonics. I found that book. She wrote it in 92, and it was probably within about 5 years of that I found that book. It was the early to middle 90s that I found it. So around 95, 94, right in there. And I was really, I spent some time doing some math in the calculator, but it's a lot of work. But when you do that kind of work, it really takes you into the minutia where you're really learning about what's happening. The relationship becomes much more clear when you're doing that kind of in-depth.
Wow. So you use it a lot?
I use it every time I do a reading for anybody.
Wow.
Right now the kids are going through some things, and I've got the harmonics going. You kind of, I think you have to, when you see how clear it can be. And that's why I showed those 2 charts, because I I don't know. I might have gone through it too quickly for you, for everyone. It's not, it's something when you know it yourself and you've been looking at it on and on, but to just show it. But that's why I brought the two together. And I really probably should have put in a slide where it combined his chart and, you know, his natal chart and my ninth harmonic, and then my natal chart and his ninth harmonic, in order to show how they tie together. But too many slides, too much, you know, information. It gets really
Right.
tight and small.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it just takes time to take things in. So
Yeah.
you could always listen. We can listen to the recording.
Well, there's that. But for an example, a lot of people say that marriage is drawn from the sixth, the number six numerologically is about marriage because you're in, and also in the sixth house because you're in service to your partner. I don't know about that. And I wouldn't put the seventh harmonic, seventh house, as a marriage partner either, just because it doesn't translate over very well, I don't think. A seventh harmonic is going to show numerologically strongly. It's going to show where you specialize, where you dig deep in and study, where you, and a religious focus as well. So
Why would the ninth be about relationships? The ninth house.
I know, right? But that's why it ties to the numerology and not the houses. And that's why that's kind of a looser thing. But in the fifth, I see it clearly. You can see it in the fifth house, the fifth harmonic, but the others are not quite balancing over as well.
I see.
Dawn, would the eighth harmonic relate to the eighth house?
I would think that it would because this stressful situation in the eighth house can be.
I'm thinking, would that describe the soul and past lives?
It really could, couldn't it?
Yeah. I think Sue had something to say there. Sorry, Dawn.
Hi, Sue.
Hi. I'm still a little confused, and I've been trying to wrap my head around harmonics for a while. I know David Cochran also has a number of YouTube videos
Yes.
about a lot of different subjects, and I think harmonics is one of them.
Yep.
But
Yep.
my question, and I'm not sure if I know exactly how to word it. The harmonics. Do the harmonics have to do with dividing dividing the aspect into 360? Isn't that?
Totally. That's exactly it.
So then I think where I can't wrap my head around is what the chart is showing. Because so what it's showing is that there's a relationship, like the fifth harmonic, that there's a quintile relationship between certain planets. So then when they're conjunct, that means that they're in the chart, they are a quintile, right?